Hello everyone, my name is Advik Singhania and we are going to start our workshop in Intro to Penetration Testing. So a little bit of who am I? I'm an organizer at MesoHacks as you already know, an undergraduate student at LNMIT Jaipur, a cybersecurity enthusiast and a Python developer. In my free time I also like to tinker with electronics and Arduino and Raspberry Pi and mostly play video games like Valorant etc. How many of you all play Valorant? I can see 10 people are watching. If you play Valorant, give the thumbs up. Yeah, Mittal saying me. So, anyways, our agenda for today will be in different domains of cybersecurity and five-stage methodology of hacking, foundations and basic skills required, and lastly, the OS top 10 project. Cybersecurity domains are There are many cybersecurity domains like red teaming operations, which narrow down objectives involving more resources and people as they dig deep to fully understand the level of risk and vulnerabilities against the assets. While penetration testing, or pen testing in short, sets out to find vulnerabilities and exploit them. We look for application layer flaws, network and system level flaws in penetration testing. On the defensive side, we have blue teaming, which consists of incident response teams who provide guidance to the IT security team on where to make improvements to mitigate threats and cyber attacks. Next up, we have Security Operations Center, or SOCs for short, which is a team of IT security professionals that monitors an entire infrastructure 24 by 7 to detect events in real time and address them as quickly as possible. Then we have bug bounty hunters, which are a set of highly skilled people who can detect security vulnerabilities in the organization's software like websites or applications, and they are then duly rewarded for discovering those bugs or vulnerabilities. In hacking methodology, the first phase of penetration testing is the reconnaissance, or recon for short. Passive reconnaissance pulls information from resources that are publicly available without actively engaging with the target system, whereas active reconnaissance involves interacting with the target. Then comes enumeration or scanning. It typically includes conducting a network port scan on the entire network and is usually done with tools like Nmap or Wireshark, Nessus, Nikto, etc. It enumerates the open ports in a system, in a network, to find a way into the target system. Then comes the exploitation part, which is the main part, or we can say initial foothold. It is done by exploiting the vulnerability in the service running on those open ports which we found via enumeration. So it is always said that enumeration is key because it is the most important step which lists all the open ports and then we can indulge into the exploitation part. Usually, there are unpatched softwares or system bugs which can be exploited, and Metasploit is a common software or tool. It is an open source software which is used, and it has many exploits and reverse shells by which we can gain sessions. You may have heard about Metasploit. How many have heard about Metasploit or Nmap? While exploitation is done, post-exploitation events like escalating the privilege to a administrator level or a super user, or turning off antivirus programs, leaving a persistent backdoor, etc., are also done. After exploitation phase is complete, the next phase is reporting. It prepares a report documenting the penetration tests findings and methods used, which can then be used to fix any vulnerabilities and improve the organization's overall security. Now let's move on to the basic skills and foundations required. One of the most important skills required for penetration testing is computer networking. You must know basic concepts of networking like routing, IP address, or TCP versus UDP, MAC addressing, firewalls, subnetting insider notation, common ports, and their services. Some good resources to learn about computer networking are courses of Professor Messer, STB Academy modules in Intro to Networking, and textbooks are always a good option. Now, in operating systems, you should know how a particular operating system works and what are the security features provided by them, what are the limitations of each of them, and how an attacker can abuse them. Once again, HTB Academy has modules for both Windows and Linux fundamentals, which are very nice. And there are many textbooks, one by Peter Galvin, which is a operating system concepts. Then comes the scripting part. And no, you do not need to be a full on developer or have a full knowledge of complex algorithms, etc. But having a basic programming and scripting skills is a must. Python is one of the most preferred scripting language as it's beginner friendly and has a large community and many libraries and frameworks to make your life easier. While JavaScript and Bash are other scripting languages which you should know about and have a basic overview of. There are a ton of resources related to programming on the internet, like Free Code Camp and HackerRank, and many courses on YouTube. Web applications are one of the widely encountered things as a security engineer. It is essential to understand how web requests and responses work, various security headers, browser security features, client side and server side tech stacks, and their limitations and attack vectors. Apart from these basic skills, advanced concepts like buffer overflows, Active Directory, privilege escalation are also very helpful. After learning all these, you can also crack certifications, common most certifications like OSCP or PNPT, which are valued in jobs. So now moving on, we have OWASP Top 10 project. OWASP stands for Open Web Application Security Project, and it's an online community that provides that produces freely available articles, methodologies, documentation, open source tools, and technologies in the field of web application security. Top 10 project is a standard awareness document for developers. It represents a broad census about most critical and common security risks to web applications. Top 10 vulnerabilities are broken access control. It refers to the policy such that users cannot act outside of their intended permissions. If we fail to do so, it can lead to disclosure or modification or deletion of data and information. Common failures are like accessing APIs with missing controls for post, put, or delete requests, or elevation of privileges acting as an administrator, or force browsing to unauthenticated pages as an unidentified user or from a standard user. This all can result in very dangerous things. The next is like injection. An app is vulnerable when user input data which is sent is not validated or filtered. This can result in cross-site scripting, where malicious JavaScript code can be injected, or in SQL injection, which can interfere with queries that an app makes to the databases, allowing an attacker to view data which they weren't supposed to see. In many cases, An attacker can also modify, delete the data from the database, or escalate the SQL injection to compromise the underlying server or perform a denial of service attack. Injections can lead to breach of sensitive data, including passwords, credit card details, or personal information. It can also be escalated to remote code execution or RCE for short, which allows an attacker to run malicious code on the backend server. There are many more top 10 vulnerabilities which can be understood by the name itself, like identification and authentication failures, software logging and monitoring failures, data integrity failures, etc. Server-side request forgery is also one of the vulnerabilities, and it occurs whenever a web application is filtering a remote resource without validating the user supplied URL, allowing them to force the app to send a crafted request to an unexpected destination. It can result in access to data within the organization or perform arbitrary code execution. So this was an overview of OS top 10. You can scan the QR code to go to its website and know more. Now we'll be moving on to the hands-on part, in which I'll be introducing you all to the Hack the Box, which is a CTF-based machines or challenges, and we'll use Kali Linux for hacking. So let me just share my screen. Samir has one question. How does one gain shell access? SSH has its own fixed port as far as I know. SSH has a common port which is port number 22, but it is not fixed. You can run SSH service on any port as you like, and shell access does not necessarily need to be through SSH. It can be through SQL injection or SSRF2 remote code execution, which can lead to gaining shell access. Hope this answers your query. So we'll be moving on. So this is Hack the Box, and we'll be using Kali Linux. To in Kali Linux, first you will need to install VS Code. So you can search for VS Code, Visual Studio Code. Mostly you might have installed it. You can download and install it there. So first we'll be starting off with the starting point, which makes us which gives an overview of what can be done. It has tiers like tier 0, tier 1, or tier 2, and it also recommends the HTV Academy modules. So, like, appointment is one of the machines, and in Hack the Box to access these machines, you should use OpenVPN, and Hack the Box provides these files by default. So, like, OpenVPN starting point. Hope my screen is visible, right? Yeah. So as you can see, initialization sequence completed. This means that we are connected to the Hack the Box VPN, and now we can access these machines. Yeah. So we'll spawn this machine called appointment. It is based on SQL injection. It is a very web application oriented machine. So spawn machine. Yeah, it generally takes too much of time. Yeah. So we are provided with the target machine IP address. It is like we are inside the network already, but there are a lot of machines, and our target machine has this IP address. So let me note this down. Now, first of all, as I said before, first phase of our hacking methodology is enumeration. So we'll use a tool called Nmap, Network Mapper. It comes by default installed in Kali Linux, or you can install it by typing apt install nmap like this and hit enter. After installing nmap, run sc. Sc stands for default script scan. It will run the default scripts nmap has and scan the machine, whereas sv stands for version scanning, and it enables us to see the versions which those services are running, and enter the IP address. Nmap is usually slow, but not, yes, we got the result. This is the scan report for the machine, and I'll just copy and paste it so we have our info. There is another script called the rest scan, which just gives us the ports we are supposed to scan. So you can first use rest scan to get the ports, then use nmap to get the services on those ports. So like, yeah, we got the open port so fast, 80. So we can stop and then use nmap and provided the port with hyphen p 80. It will scan that port only. So it will be much faster. And we can see that port 80 has HTTP service running on it, and Apache server of version 2.4.38. And it's running Debian, so it might be a Linux machine. So we can open our browser and let me see. What was the result? Yeah, we got the result, same result. And we can paste the IP address of this machine, which is this. Yeah, it redirects us to the web page that machine is hosting on itself. So as we can see, it's a login page, and we are supposed to get inside this login page to find the flag. Now, as this is a web application, there is a tool called GoBuster, which is used for directory enumeration. Directory of a website is like folders of a system. So this tool also comes pre-installed in Kali, or you can go ahead and install it by searching GoBuster GitHub and head over to this link. You can follow these instructions. to install it. You will need to install Go first. Golang is a programming language and this tool is built on Golang. Yeah, Go 99.2%. So we use Go Buster. Now let me explain this command. We are using the tool called Go Buster for directory enumeration and providing it with the URL of our target machine with the HTTP. HTTP is the service that machine is running, so we need to provide the service it needs to enumerate. Directory enumerate on HTTP, the IP, and the word list. Hyphen W stands for word list, and we are passing the common word list for directories. You can use the hyphen X to filter out all the directories by php or .html or not. It can be done either way. As we can see, 403 stands for forbidden, means we are not supposed to see these files on the system. And GoBuster will also take a lot of time. So let me explain something about SQL. SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and this server might be running SQL. We can check this by using Burp Suite. Burp Suite is a common tool to intercept web requests and web responses from a server. So it can also be used for enumeration and attacks and exploitation. So we'll open a temporary project in Burp Suite. If not, you can download the Burp Suite by searching Burp Suite. This tool is built by a company called Portsfigure, which also has its own web security academy. So you can download the Burp Suite Community Edition and download it from here. After downloading and installing the Burp Suite, open a temporary project with the default burps and let this open first. Yeah. Go to the proxy tab. Hope this is visible, right? Proxy and options. Intercept responses. Check mark on this. Intercept responses based on the following rules. After turning on the Burp Suite, you need to go back to the Firefox and install a tool called Foxy Proxy. Foxy Proxy is an extension for Firefox which enables us to use a proxy server because Burp uses a proxy server to intercept responses. That proxy server has its address 127.0.0.1 and on port 8080. So turn on this Burp Suite proxy server from Foxy Proxy so that we can intercept the requests we are sending to the server and the responses that are coming from that server. Now, if I reload this page, let me see. Yeah, we got the request we are sending. It is a GET request of version HTTP 1.1. Host, user agent, these are all the headers request has. So we'll forward that packet to the server. And now we got a response from the server saying 200 OK. It is running Apache. Yeah, we got all that. This is the HTML code. So we'll forward it, and we got a response back. Now, there is another extension for Firefox or Chrome which is called Vaporizer. First, let me turn off the intercept. Yeah. Vaporizer finds out that what technologies a website are using on its front end and back end. So, wait. This is the Foxy proxy and this is the Vaporizer. We can see that Vaporizer lists all the technologies that the website and the server are using, like font scripts, web servers. There is a Apache web server, its version 2.4.38. The operating system the server is running, it's Debian, and the JavaScript libraries or UI frameworks. So we know that this website is built using Bootstrap and jQuery, and it is running on an Apache server. So mostly Apache servers are host a LAMP stack project. LAMP stands for Lateral, yeah, Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. So we know that our server is running Apache and Linux. So there is a high probability that the server may be running PHP and SQL. So let me check the Go Buster result first. Yeah, it's still loading. We can see that there is a folder called CSS, which will, as the name suggests, host the CSS.css or styling sheets of the website, a fonts folder, images folder, and the index.php. Index, yeah, .php, we got that. Okay, the server is running PHP. So either this or we can add index.php and we'll get the same result. But as we can see, there's not much information here which can help us go inside the server or leak us credentials for the login. So we can try brute forcing like admin and admin, which is not a good password, or user. This is also an incorrect password, or root, as Linux systems have it, root and root. But this method is very naive, and this method is called brute forcing, in which we try and by error we find out what the password might be. This is not very effective. So we know that the server is running SQL and PHP. So we can look into SQL injection for authentication. So let me show you how SQL injection works. SQL injection Portugal, yeah. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language, and it's mostly used in relational database management systems. And it has a query like this: select username password from users, or select name and description from products. So this is the web server which has database. It stores all the data, passwords, usernames, etc. And this is the website. So yeah, let me show you SQL and PHP. Good examples. Or yeah, we can work out with that. Suppose this is the query: select star from products where category is equal to gifts and release is equal to 1. Similarly, we might have in our target system, we might have a query which checks if the username is equal to a particular username, let's say admin, and password is equal to a particular password which we don't know, right? We can inject some code that will filter out this part. So we can only use the username and filter out this part. As you all know, and operator will only be true when both the conditions are true. But what if there is not any and? If we remove the and let's say pass the admin, we can check, then we can escalate this to an SQL injection. So how do we do that? How do we remove the and? In SQL, we can comment out the queries using the double hyphens like this. So if we put two hyphens here, it will comment out in this part, and we will be left with select star from where username is equal to admin. Let's say this is not product, this is database. Yeah. So we can try this, and we will need to enter this part, admin, inverted quotes, and two hyphens. Let's try this. Uh, admin, inverted quote, and two hyphens. And for password, since this doesn't matter whatever we put, because this is converted into a comment. So let's try 1 2 3, and no, it wasn't successful. Can someone tell me why? Samir, yeah, I'm using Kali Linux in a virtual machine. I'm using VMware. So this isn't working because, as I said, we are running a PHP server. PHP may have a query like this, or its comments are different. Like this is used to comment out the SQL part, but in PHP, hash is used to comment out the PHP code. So we can try, suppose there is a PHP syntax like, let me check. Yeah. Suppose there is a PHP syntax like this or something which is checking our function. There is a if condition statement. So we can put hash here or inside a condition which will comment out the rest of the code. So like we can put a hash here or here. So now this will be our payload which we need to inject. This will turn the SQL part into the comment, and the hashes will turn the PHP code part into the comment. So let's try this. Admin hash hash password, let's say 1234, and click login. Yeah, we are into the system and we got the flag. And this flag can now be submitted to the machine starting point here. So now we are done with this machine and it demonstrated SQL injection. I hope you all understood this machine. There is another challenge. Yeah, we can go on to challenges. Let me just stop this machine first. web. Hack the Box has both machines for network penetration testing, all the easy machines or difficult machines, and challenges which are based on various categories like hardware, cryptography, mobile, reversing, and web. And in this workshop, since we are discussing web, so I'll use this first machine called templated. Templated is an easy machine, and description says, can you exploit this simple mistake? So not very informative. Let's start the instance first. Yeah, so this is like the URL of the website which the service is hosting. This is the IP address and this is the port. So we'll copy this first. Let's paste it here. So let me turn on the intercept, and now we can close this. Let's try with intercept off first. Let's see what we get. Let me try disconnecting from the VPN first. I'll just reset this instance. Let's stop and restart it again. I don't think this is an error from my side because I think my network is running. Yeah, maybe this is an error from their side. So, anyways, I hope one machine was enough to give a demonstration of how penetration testing works. I think I'll skip on this part because the machine is not running. And let's now head over to the Q&A part. Yeah. So, thank you for attending. And if you have any questions now, I can answer them. You can reach me on GitHub, LinkedIn, or Twitter if you have any queries too. Yeah, sure. I know this is a lot to take in, but this is very interesting. And if you are new to this, I'll recommend to try out Try Hack Me, which is beginner friendly and it is more interesting than Hack the Box because the machines on Hack the Box, the easy machines on Hack the Box are also difficult. So you should try out Try Hack Me. I'll put the link in the comments. So as there aren't any more questions, I think I'll stop here now. And I think this is the second day for hacking, and you all must be making your projects. So all the best for the hackathon, and I guess I'll see you at the closing ceremony tomorrow. Okay, now bye bye.